the unfinished emotion, the silent goodbyes, the unspoken love. What does Allah do with all of it? The heartbreak you never voiced, the apologies you rehearsed but never gave, the du'as you whispered into the darkness only to be met with silence. What does Allah do with the guilt of not being there at the right time, the love that still lingers after they're gone, the pain that shows up unexpectedly at a traffic light, in an old photograph, or in the smell of their favorite food? What does Allah do with all that? He doesn't throw it away, He doesn't ignore it, He doesn't forget it. Allah is Al-Latifta, most subtle, the most gentle. And nothing you've ever felt is lost in His eyes. Not a tear is wasted sometimes. The pain feels invisible, like no one truly sees it. Not your family, not your friends, not even the ones you cried for. But there's one who sees it. Every breath you took when it hurt to breathe. Every silent tear that fell when you forced a smile. Every ache that didn't even have words. And He is Ar-Rahman, the most merciful, Al-Latif, the most subtle. The Prophet said, no fatigue, nor disease, nor sorrow, nor sadness, nor hurt, nor distress befalls a Muslim even if it were the prick he receives from a thorn, except that Allah expiates some of his sins because of it. Bukhari and Muslim. Not even a thorn, don't even a thorn. So what about the heartbreak you carry in your chest? What about the betrayal you never spoke of? What about the nights you lay awake, whispering into your pillow because no one else would listen? None of it is wasted. Not a sigh, not a tremble, not a single tear. It's all witnessed, it's all recorded, it's all transformed into mercy, into healing, into reward. Allah is not blind to your struggle. He is not silent in your suffering. He is patient in His timing, because He is perfect in His wisdom. And sometimes the answer isn't in removing the pain. Sometimes it's in what He's doing through it, softening your heart, refining your soul, detaching you from what harms you, pulling you closer to Him. So the next time you cry, don't feel weak, feel seen, because even the tear that no one notices counts it, even the ache you hide, Allah holds it. And when you finally rise from it all, you won't just be healed. You'll be forgiven. You'll be raised. You'll be rebuilt by the one who knew your pain before you could even name it. 3 a.m. cries and crowded room, silence as you walk into a room full of people and still feel completely alone. Laugh at jokes. You answer messages. You post the photo with the perfect caption. But deep down, you're carrying something no one sees. What they don't know is that last night, at 3 a.m., you were on your prayer mat, crying, begging, breaking, and not a soul in the world saw it. But Allah did. He saw the tear you wiped before anyone noticed. He heard the dua you whispered through trembling lips. He felt the ache you couldn't put into words. Does He not know? He who created. And He is the most subtle, the all-aware. Surah Al-Mulk 67-14. You may think your strength comes from hiding the pain, from pushing through, from being okay in public and shattered in private. But your real strength is in turning to Him when it hurts the most, when no one texts back, when the voice notes go unheard, when even your closest friends don't understand the storm inside you. That pain is not meaningless. Every 3 a.m. breakdown, every silent car ride filled with du'a, every tear you cried in sujud without knowing what to ask for, it's all being recorded, witnessed, honored. Not by the world, but by the one who matters most. And here's the truth, your silence in crowded rooms, it's not emptiness. It's a sign that you're being called inward, that Allah is pulling your heart toward Him gently, quietly, mercifully. So don't curse your loneliness. It's not abandonment, it's a divine invitation. And those cries at 3 a.m., they're not weak moments, they're sacred conversations between a soul that's breaking and a Lord who knows exactly how to rebuild it. 3. The love you still carry. Some loves don't leave, not with time, not with silence, not even with the grave. They stay. In a scent that suddenly returns, in a name that stings when you hear it, in a memory that shows up in a dream you didn't ask for, and you wonder, what do I do with a love that lingers? What do I do with a heart that still aches, even after all this time? Here's the truth, most won't tell you. Some souls were written into your life, not to stay, but to shape. They came by Allah, permission as a test, as a gift, sometimes both in one. And when they left, whether by choice, by death, or by destiny, they left more than just silence. They left echoes, echoes that still ring in your heart. But here's the beauty of it. When love was sincere, it doesn't rot, it transforms, it becomes something higher, something divine. Maybe Allah allowed you to feel so deeply, not so you'd be destroyed by it, but so you'd be redirected through it, because the ability to love is not a curse. It's a mercy. And when the person is gone, the love doesn't have to die. It can be repurposed. It can become dua. It can become worship. You loved someone deeply. Then now, love Allah deeper, because He's the one who gave you that capacity in the first place. And maybe the pain won't leave entirely. Maybe you'll never move on in the way people expect. But you can move forward, with a heart softened, not shattered. With a love redirected, not erased. Some loves don't end. They evolve. They become the bridges that take us back to Allah, where all true healing begins. 4. Dreams, the mercy you didn't know you needed. Have you ever seen someone you love, someone you've lost, appear in your dream? Not just passing by, not just background, but real, vivid. So vivid it woke you up with a racing heart or silent tears. Sometimes you smell them again, hear their voice, feel the presence that only they brought to your world, and it leaves you wondering, why now? Why did I see them now? The truth is, that wasn't random. That was mercy. 5. The purpose of dreams in Islam. The Prophet said, a good dream is from Allah, and a bad dream is from Shaitan. Bukhari. Not every dream is a sign, but when it stirs your soul, makes you pause, makes you cry or pray, pay attention, because maybe Allah allowed that glimpse as a gift, a reminder, a nudge, a moment to reconnect. Sometimes it's not even about them, it's about you. 6. He's reminding you of you. You saw them in a dream, or maybe you crossed paths unexpectedly, and suddenly, old feelings came flooding back. Not just for them, but for who you used to be when they were around. And it hurts, doesn't it? You miss them. Yes, but maybe, just maybe, what you really miss is you. The version of you who still believed. The one who prayed with hope instead of habit. The one who smiled without forcing it. The one who loved without fear, trusted without walls, and wept without shame. Maybe Allah allowed that memory to return, not to torment you, but to remind you. Because heartbreak doesn't just steal people, it steals parts of ourselves. We close off. We stop praying the same way. We stop laughing from the heart. We shrink, guard, protectant, till we barely recognize the soul in the mirror. And so Allah sends a dream, a moment, a reminder, not so you'll go chasing someone from your past, but so you'll return to the part of you that got left behind. The part that loved, the part that believed, the part that saw the world with softness. That person wasn't weak, they were whole. And now you have the chance. Not to go backward, but to rise forward. To become someone even deeper, even softer, even more connected to Allah. Yes, they mattered. Yes, your love was real. But maybe that chapter wasn't just about them. Maybe it was a mirror. And maybe Allah is now saying, look at who you were. When you loved with purity, return to that soul. I miss them too. And that is a different kind of healing. 7. The scent of sincerity. Do you remember who you were when they were still here? Do you remember how soft your heart was? How gentle you spoke? How much dua you made? That sincerity isn't gone. It's buried beneath years of distraction, heartbreak, overthinking, and trying to be strong. And Allah, in His gentleness, uses dreams to soften you again. Because the heart that is turned cold cannot carry the light of Iman. And sometimes, you need to cry over a dream to remember the soul you left behind. 8. So what can you do now? You had the dream. You felt the shift. You remembered the ache you thought you buried. So now what? You can't go back. You can't unsee what was shown. You can't unfeel what's been awakened. but you can move forward with purpose. So let's turn that ache into action. Let's turn that dream into a door. 1. Say Alhamdulillah. Whether it comforted you or confused, you say it. Because nothing touches your soul without Allah's permission. Not even a dream, not even a memory. Allah chose that moment to reach you, to soften you, to wake something up in you, and never say of anything, "Indeed, I will do that tomorrow," except when adding, "if Allah wills." Surah Al-Kahf, 18:23-24. Even dreams happen only if Allah wills. So don't treat it like a random echo, treat it like a message wrapped in silence. 2. Reconnect with the version of you the dream revealed, not just the person you saw, but who you were in their presence. Were you more hopeful, more open, more silent? You still exists, and maybe Allah is calling you back to them. Not so you'll go back to them, but so you'll come back to yourself. 3. Channel the emotion into dua. There is no heartbreak that dua cannot hold. There is no confusion that Allah cannot clarify. Tell Him what you felt. Tell Him what you don't understand. And most of all, ask Him to turn your longing into light. 4. Trust the process. Allah never stirs a heart without reason. If He brought the dream, He'll bring the meaning. In His time, in His way. Until then, feel what you need to feel, but don't stop walking. Don't stop becoming, because the dream was never a destination, it was a signpost, and your journey is still blessed to make dua for the person you saw, whether they're alive or have passed. Mikdua, the Prophet said, "The supplication of a Muslim for his brother in his absence is answered... Muslim, and if they've passed away, then your dua might be the only gift they receive. Right now, you might be the only one who remembered them this week, this year, this lifetime, and in the unseen world, your whispered Ya Allah, forgive them, becomes light in their grave. 3. Recite Quran and donate the reward. Underestimate this. Recite Surah Yasin, Al-Fatiha, Ayat Al-Kursi, or just a few ayahs with sincerity. Then say, "O Allah, send the reward of this recitation to name of the person." It reaches them, it revives them, it lifts them in ways we can't imagine. The Quran is light in life and light in death. Let your voice echo in both worlds. 4. Give sadaqah in their name, even if it's small. Even if you don't have much. Give $1, feed a cat, buy someone water, support a charity in their name. The Prophet was asked if sadaqah benefits the deceased, and he replied, "Yes, it benefits them." Tamidi, imagine a person in the grave, smiling, because you remembered them, and Allah wrote your action as mercy upon mercy. 5. Let the dream inspire you, not consume you. Don't chase interpretations. Don't spiral, don't waste time dissecting every glance or word in the dream. Instead, ask, what can I do now that would make them proud? Use the dream as a signpost, not a prison, as fuel to live a life of meaning, not a reason to get stuck in the past. 9. A quiet mercy, a personal gift of Allah, allowed you to see someone you loved, even in sleep. Then know this. It was not random, it was not just a dream, it was a mercy. 1. Only the soft-hearted are allowed to feel. Not everyone gets that. Some go years without a single dream. Others forget the faces of those they once loved. So, if it came to you, thank Him. You were chosen to feel, to remember, to awaken. 10. And if you're crying while reading this, ... if your throat is tight, ... if your eyes are wet, if your heart is aching from a dream that felt more like a visit than a vision, then maybe, just maybe, it wasn't about saying goodbye again. Maybe it was Allah saying, "You're not as far from me as you think. Come back, I'm still here." And maybe that person you saw in your dream was the hand Allah sent to pull you out of the darkness one last time before it's your turn to be remembered. 11. Live with purpose. Not guilt. You can't go back and change what happened. You can't unsay the words. You can't undo the decisions. And maybe that hurts. Maybe the guilt lingers like a shadow that won't leave. But here's the truth. You're not meant to live in punishment. You're meant to rise in purpose. Because Allah didn't write your past to shame you. He wrote it to shape you. Every scar, every slip, every soft moment that turned into pain. It wasn't the end. It was an invitation, so make tawbah not just with words, but with intention. Return to Salah not just as a routine, but as a rescue. Forgive yourself not because you didn't mess up, but because Allah is more merciful than your mistakes are heavy. Say, O my servants who have wronged themselves, do not despair of the mercy of Allah. Indeed, Allah forgives all sins. Surah Az-Zumar 39-53. You regret isn't meant to imprison you. It's meant to redirect you. Don't let it steal your future by chaining you to what you can't undo. Yes, the memory was beautiful. Yes, maybe you crossed lines. Yes, maybe you stayed too long or left too soon. But let that memory do something holy now. Let it soften you, not harden you. Let it push you toward light, not trap you in shame. Let it deepen your dua, expand your empathy, refine your heart. Because guilt fades, but purpose remains. You were never meant to stay in mourning. You were meant to rise in meaning, so breathe, smile, say Alhamdulillah for what was, and Bismillah for what's next. Because the past may have broken you, but it also built you into someone Allah still wants near. Someone who still has a chapter left to write, not in guilt, but in grace. 12. Even your dreams are part of His mercy. You didn't ask for that dream. You didn't plan it. You didn't go to sleep hoping for it. But still it came. Out of nowhere, soft, unexpected, and strangely holy. You woke up with a heart that ached and softened at the same time. It didn't feel like a fantasy. It felt like a message. But what was Allah trying to tell you? Maybe nothing specific. Maybe it wasn't about what's going to happen. Maybe it was about what's still alive in you. Because Allah doesn't need words to reach you. Sometimes He just sends a feeling, a glimpse, a sacred moment wrapped in sleep. And yes, aren't always literal. They aren't always prophetic. But they can still be merciful. Mercy doesn't always come in answered du'as. Sometimes it comes in memories you didn't know you still carried. In emotions you thought were buried. In reminders that your heart is still awake. Allah let your nights be empty. But instead, He let your soul remember something deeper. Maybe someone who once mirrored a part of you. Maybe a moment that healed you. Or a connection that once made you believe. And that's not punishment. That's presence. That's Rama. Wa Ra, Matwasi, at Kulashay, and my mercy encompasses all things. Surah Al-A'af 7-156. Even your confusion, even your longing, even your dreams. So don't dismiss what your soul experienced, and don't idolize it either. Just take it as a soft reminder. Allah sees your heart, even when your lips stay silent. He knows what you've forgotten, even when your mind has moved on. And sometimes He lets your soul feel something beautiful, not to give it back to you, but to remind you, you were never alone in wanting it. Final dua. Ya Allah, for every soul we've loved and lost, grant them light, peace, and elevation in the next world. For every dream that left us shaken or inspired, turn it into guidance, not confusion. And for every aching heart, grant it healing through your mercy until we meet again. Amin.